Hi guys, Martin here coming to you with my build update number 2 for the Revell 1/32 scale Focke Wulf Fw190F-8 and it's kit number 04869. So I'm doing my updates a little differently, I'm trying something different, so I'm going to take you straight into a slideshow of my update showing you how it progressed from where we left off on build update number 1 and to where I ended it for this build update number 2. So let's not mess around, let's get you straight into that slideshow, and I'll be narrating through that slideshow describing the stages as it goes along. So I'll see you at the end of the slideshow. See you at the end of the slideshow. Cheers guys, thanks. Hello guys, so taking off from update number 1, I gave everything a gloss clear coat. I then moved on to the cockpit tub to apply the seatbelt decals using solver set decal setting solution. You can see them in place there. And then after that I moved on to putting the decal onto the bulletproof edge shield behind the pilot, the warning sign, hack tongue, blah blah blah. And then I glued that into place to the actuator assembler. After that, I then mixed a wash with black oil paint, a bit of white oil paint, and thinned it down with odorless mineral spirits. Then applied that dirt wash to all of the inside fuselage areas, the console panels, the engine mounting area, as you can see there, the flaps, and then into the engine cowlings themselves. So they were all given a dirt wash. I then moved on to giving a dirt wash to the undercarriage doors, the rear wheel machine guns, the spinner and the propeller blades, and then wiped the excess off to give an appearance that I was happy with, as you can see with those last two slides. And then onto the engine cowlings, I rubbed off the excess, leaving a nice dirty sort of appearance. I then moved on to the engine, applied the same dirt wash all over the engine. That's looking from the side, that's looking at the front, and you can see it looks pretty grubby and dirty. And then I removed the excess using a Q-tip, cotton bud in England, and leaving an appearance that I was happy with. And the next thing I did was to seal that all in with another clear coat. As you can see there, everything's been sealed in. And then I moved up back to the cockpit tub and applied the same dirt wash to the cockpit tub, because previously I'd applied the decals. I then mixed a reddish brown acrylic filter and applied that to every area, the engine bay there, and then rubbed off the excess to leave a nice appearance. I did that to the flaps and rubbed off the excess just to leave a nice appearance, and then did the same inside the engine cowling areas, the fuselage engine areas, and then I assembled the propeller and got that ready for applying a reddish brown wash to that as well, as you can see there. And then I removed the excess. I then moved on to the spiral decal that goes on the spinner, applied that, and then I sealed that in with a matte clear coat ready for applying a wash to it later. So then I moved on to chipping, and as you can see inside the engine cowling, some bit of chip in there, and then I took the other parts, got them ready, applied a bit of chipping inside the undercarriage doors, as you can see there, and then I did the same for the flaps. Chip them and didn't go too excessive, but I wanted to show some wear and tear. It's a war-torn plane. And then I did the same again inside the cockpit tub and also applied a dirtish reddish brown wash in the footwells to simulate some dirt from the pilot's boots. I then moved back to the engine and applied that reddish brown wash over the engine. You can see it better there on the rear side on that black crankcase housing. And after that was done, I sealed everything in with a matte clear coat. and it was now ready to do some exhaust stains on the inside of the fuselage. So I mixed Tamiya XF1 black with XF52 dark tan, and so I've got I like blackish brown finish, and sprayed that inside the fuselage areas, the gun bay area, and around the engine mount areas where the exhausts are blasting onto that. And then I applied it to the tip of the exhaust, so we got that sort of burned carbon look. Next I mixed some deck tan, thinned that down because I wanted to apply a lead deposit over those exhaust stains, and you can see sort of a misting of that on the exhaust tips and inside the fuselage areas where the exhaust vents. And then I did the same on the engine mount area where the exhaust is blasting. I then moved on to put in gloss clear into the instrument dials and let that set. So when that sets, that looked like clear glass. It was now time to move on to assembly. I started off with a rear wheel in the starboard side fuselage off, and then the upper front instrument panel that was assembled into the starboard side fuselage along with a crank handle. And then when that was ready and set, I then moved on to getting the port side fuselage off, ready to assemble that to the starboard side. And there she is, glued, taped and clamped. And then it was time to put the cockpit tub into that assembler. But before I did that, I wanted to take a few quick snapshots of it. It's the last chance we're going to get to see of it before she's buttoned up inside the fuselage. So I put her into the fuselage, glued her in place, taped the fuselage together, tape that in place, let it set, and then I put in the firewall and the machine gun mounting bracket, as you can see there. And then it was time to assemble the fuselage assembly to the bottom wing assembly, and that's what you see there. It's glued in position, and the next thing to do is to put the upper wing halves on. So I took those off the sprues, cleaned them up, got them ready, and I started off with the port side upper wing fuselage off, assembled that in position, and then finished it off by assembling the starboard side fuselage off. And after that, it was time to move on with the ailerons. So I got those out, got them ready, and then I glued those into position, as you can see there. Next was to move on to the tail end and get the horizontal stabilizers and elevators, and assemble those together and then glue them to the tail end, as you can see there. And after that, it was back to the front end of the plane. I got the two side cowlings ready and glued them into position, and with those in position, it was time to mount the engine to the circular engine bracket, as you can see at the back there. And there's pegs that I put super glue on, and it just locates nicely into that. And then I took a quick snapshot, and then after that I wanted to put the front end cowlings on, the two rings. I started off with a rear ring on the front and glued that into position to secure that engine assembler, and then I took the very front circular engine cowling, the nose end, and glued that on top of that rear cowling for the nose end. And as you can see, they're both in a position now, and that's all secure. That engine is all secure. So it's onto the upper front engine cowling. I super glued that in position, but to align the machine gun ports, I temporarily located the rear upper fuselage to align the machine gun ports. And then I put the two upper side engine cowling panels in place, temporarily located with plasticine, and then did that with the lower engine cowlings as well. So with those temporarily located, it's ready for painting. I then moved on to the underside fuselage bomb rack and assembled that into position. As you can see there, it's all glued in place, ready to put the bomb on at a later stage. And then add a couple of gaps at the wing roots, both sides, to fill. You can see the gap there. And then I applied some filler, and that was on both sides, the port side and starboard side. And then I smoothed those down when it was set. I then moved on to fitting the fins onto the tail end of the bombs. Super glued those into place, and as you can see, they're all in place there. They're ready for priming after they've been cleaned. Next was moving on to the wheels. Got all the parts together and assembled both the wheels. And next they'll be given a clear coat and given a dirt wash, and the tyres will be faded. And then it was on to the sliding canopy. I masked the inside of that and sprayed the inside anthracite colour, and then removed the masking tape, and it was ready to assemble the sliding canopy actuator inside. As you can see, there looks like there's a bit of tidy up to do on the paintwork there. So welcome back, that's it. That's the end of my slideshow for build update number 2, and as you can see, this is where she is. So all these cowlings, as described in the slideshow, are all temporarily located with plasticine. I'm going to do the same with the flaps. They're all going to be temporarily located with plasticine, so it masks the inside surfaces. And with the wheel wells, they'll be temporarily located, and some tissue will be put in there to mask these areas. And then I'll put some tape around that rear wheel assembler to mask that, and then she'll be ready to, and then I'm going to glue that in position, the front windshield, and I'll be temporarily locating the sliding canopy with plasticine, and that'll mask all the cockpit area. And I'm going to mask the outside of the canopy. The inside's done, you saw that in the slideshow. And so when that's all done, I shall prime, pre-shade, and then start the painting, which will all be for the build update number 3. So that's it, and here's all the other pieces, all the bombs, propeller, wheels, wheel axles. All these things will be done, ready for build-ups, date number 3. And then we have bits and bobs on the sprues left to do. Glue on some bomb racks on the underside, which I'll do before we prime it, because they have to be the same colour as the underside of the aircraft, so I'll stick those into position. Well, that's it from me, guys, for this build update number 2. Thanks for watching if you're still around after 15 minutes worth. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you at the next update, number 3. Tally-o, guys. Chocks away.
Revell.